I left my husband for a recovering addict, he relapsed and stole my car. Now I live in a shelter. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. I know this sub has seen worse, but I need to get this off my chest while I still have access to a phone. I threw away my marriage for a man I met at Al-Anon who swore he'd been clean for 18 months. I cheated on my husband with someone whose tragedy made him seem deep, and now I'm writing this from a women's shelter on a borrowed phone because he sold everything I owned for pills. I'm 36F, was married to my ex-husband, 38, for 11 years. No kids, thank God. My ex was an accountant. Stable, predictable, wore the same brand of khakis for a decade. Our biggest fights were about what color to paint the guest room or whether to get a Labrador or a golden retriever. I went to Al-Anon meetings because my sister was struggling with alcoholism. He offered to come with me, but I said I needed to process alone. Really, I was already bored with our life and wanted something that was just mine. Tyler was at his third meeting when I walked in. 34, sleeve tattoos, this wounded intensity that made everyone else in the room seem half alive. He shared about losing his daughter in a custody battle during his addiction. How getting clean was the only way to possibly get her back. How he'd been sober for 18 months and counting. The room applauded. I found myself staring. We started talking after meetings. Coffee that turned into 3-hour conversations about pain, recovery, second chances. He'd been addicted to opioids after a construction accident. Lost everything, his family, his business, his home. But he was rebuilding. Working as a mechanic, living in a sober house, going to meetings daily. He showed me his sobriety chips like medals of honor. My husband noticed I was different. Happier, he said, which stung because it was true. I bought new clothes, started wearing perfume again, smiled at my phone constantly. When he asked if the meetings were helping, I said yes and changed the subject. When he suggested we take that vacation to Portland we'd been planning for 2 years, I said I couldn't miss my meetings. He offered again to come with me. I said he wouldn't understand. The affair started 4 months after we met. He was having a hard day, almost a year since he'd last seen his daughter. I went to his apartment to comfort him. The sober living house he described was actually a studio in a rough part of town, but he explained he'd graduated from the house 6 months ago. This was progress, he said. Independence. The physical connection was immediate and overwhelming. My husband and I had sex on a schedule, quiet and considerate. This man was desperate, intense, like he was trying to crawl inside my skin. He cried afterward, said I was the first good thing to happen to him since getting clean. That I was his angel, his reason to stay sober. I felt needed in a way my husband had never made me feel. For 3 months, I lived a double life. Al-Anon meetings were my cover for entire afternoons with him. I learned to lie with disturbing ease. Work emergencies, sick friends, family drama. My husband trusted me completely, which made it easier and worse. He even started making dinner on my meeting nights so I wouldn't have to rush. Tyler started asking for money around month 4. Just small amounts. Gas money, groceries, his phone bill. His boss was shorting him hours, he said. The economy was tough for mechanics. I gave him cash from our joint account, small withdrawals my husband wouldn't notice. He always promised to pay me back when things turned around. The day I asked for a divorce, Tyler had just gotten news about his daughter. His ex was considering supervised visits. He needed to prove he had a stable relationship, a support system. He needed me. I went home that night and told my husband I wasn't happy, hadn't been for years, needed something different. He begged for counseling. Asked if there was someone else. I lied and said I just needed to find myself. My husband moved out within a week, stayed with his brother while we sorted details. He was devastated but dignified, said he wanted me to be happy even if it wasn't with him. We agreed to split everything evenly. The house would sell, and we'd each take half. Simple, clean, fair. He didn't fight for anything, just asked to keep our wedding album. I said yes and felt nothing. I moved in with Tyler immediately. Brought my clothes, my laptop, my jewelry, my car. He was ecstatic, said we were finally building the life he dreamed about during his darkest moments. The apartment was small but ours. We'd save money, find somewhere better, maybe near his daughter. Everything was falling into place. The first red flag was when my grandmother's ring went missing. He helped me look everywhere, even called the police to report it stolen. He held me while I cried about losing the family heirloom. A week later, I found the pawn ticket in his jacket pocket. He swore he'd been holding it for a friend, that he'd never betray me like that. I believed him because I needed to. Money started disappearing from my wallet. 20 here, 40 there. He always had explanations. The landlord only took cash. The grocery store's card reader was broken. His sponsor needed help with gas. I started hiding my cash, then felt guilty for not trusting him. He was in recovery. Recovery meant honesty. He told me that himself. The house sold faster than expected. My half came to $70,000 after the mortgage and fees. I put it in a new account, planning to use it for our fresh start. He suggested we celebrate with a nice dinner. I came home from work to find him unconscious on the bathroom floor, needle still in his arm. The paramedics brought him back with Narcan. At the hospital, he cried and apologized and swore it was the first time. His ex had canceled the supervised visits. The stress had broken him. But now he knew how much he had to lose. He'd never use again. I paid for a month of intensive outpatient rehab and believed every promise he made. He was clean for exactly 6 days after rehab. I came home to an empty apartment. My laptop, gone. My mother's jewelry box, gone. My television, guitar, anything worth selling, gone. The $70,000 in my account had been drained through transfers he'd made after watching me enter my PIN at an ATM. He'd taken my car too, along with the spare key I'd hidden in the kitchen drawer. The police found my car abandoned 3 states away, stripped and destroyed. He had vanished. His phone was disconnected. The apartment wasn't even in his name. He'd been subletting from someone who now wanted me out immediately. I had nothing left but the clothes I'd worn to work and my phone. I called my ex-husband. He didn't answer. Called again. Nothing. His brother finally picked up and said my ex couldn't talk to me. They knew about everything, had known all along. My ex was seeing someone new, a teacher from his school. They were happy. I needed to stop calling. My parents were on a fixed income in Florida, couldn't help beyond sending $200. My sister was in rehab herself. Friends chose my ex in the divorce, and those who didn't had already heard about my situation through social media. Nobody wanted to enable whatever I'd become. The friend who'd driven me to Al-Anon meetings said she'd warned me about him, that everyone had seen the signs except me. I stayed in a motel for 3 nights until my credit card maxed out. Slept in the office break room for a week until security found me. My boss had to let me go, it was too disruptive to the workplace. No job, no money, no car, no address. The shelter had a waiting list, but a woman had just left, so they had a bed. That was 6 weeks ago. I share a room with 3 other women. One talks to herself all night. Another steals food but everyone pretends not to notice. The third is actually kind, gave me this phone to type my story while she's at her dishwashing job. We get breakfast and dinner, have to leave during the day. I walk to the library, apply for jobs on the computers, try to ignore the looks from people who recognize me from my old life. Tyler surfaced on Facebook last week, using a different name. Photos from California, new girlfriend, talking about his journey to recovery. She looks like me from a year ago, stable, hopeful, ready to save someone. I wanted to warn her but no, she wouldn't listen. I wouldn't have listened. My ex-husband remarried about a year later. A mutual friend told me at the grocery store while I was using food stamps. She said he was happy, that the new wife was perfect for him, that they were trying for kids. She asked how I was doing, and I said fine and walked away before she could see me cry. The shelter allows 6 months maximum stay. I have 4 left to find a job, save enough for a deposit somewhere, rebuild from actual zero. My counselor here says rock bottom is where rebuilding begins. But I'm 36 with no money, no possessions, no references, and a credit score destroyed by Tyler's final shopping spree on my cards before they were canceled. At night, lying on a twin bed that hundreds of desperate women have used before me, I think about the guest room my ex and I never painted. The dog we never adopted. The Portland trip we never took. The boring, stable, beautiful life I threw away for someone who made me feel special while he planned to rob me blind. The truth is simple, I had a faithful husband who loved me, a comfortable home, and a good life. I destroyed it all for an addict who told me exactly what I wanted to hear while he relapsed in slow motion. Now my ex has the life we planned with someone else, and I fall asleep to the sound of desperate women crying, wondering if Tyler's new girlfriend has noticed money missing from her purse yet.